Welcome to episode 70 of Beer with Strangers. I'm your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week occasionally by the official pinch hitter, guest co-host, Shawn Hager.
Hey, what's up, guys?
This week we got some fun stuff to talk about. One of the main reasons Shawn's on is they had a class this week, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to go to the classes here, and I want to talk about how this particular class did. Just a little backstory. Our hope was to simulcast one of the classes, and we would like to do that sometime in the future. But I was ill prepared, and there's no other way to say it. And when I got here, I couldn't get set up right, and there were so many people that I just would have been in the way. So I had to kind of, call it bad luck and just move on. But bad luck for me, good luck for you guys, because you had a bunch of people here.
Yeah, I had 7 or 8 people in the class, which in this little room is pretty good. I've had up to, I think, 15 or 16, which is just
that must be bananas.
Packed. Yeah, we go into the other side of the building, and that seems to work out pretty well.
Now, what would you say, just vaguely, roughly, what percentage of those people were brand new?
For this class, we had one guy who's brewed in the past, but he hasn't brewed in a long time. We had one couple who had been to one class a long time ago and then kind of forgot a little bit and came back.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one gentleman who's been to a class but has never brewed and wanted just another kind of hands-on thing.
Before he brewed.
Now, a lot of times we'll get, completely fresh noobs that have never, ever brewed before.
And also you get people who come a couple times before they start brewing.
Yeah, occasionally we'll have that. A lot of people are, more visual, hands-on learners, and they, they'll come in once or twice. They'll come in once and they'll be like, okay, we're definitely ready to do this. And they'll get all the equipment, and then they'll get started, or they might make a batch, and then they're like, well, let me go back and try to catch all that again and just make sure that, I got a grasp on it. And the classes are free, so all it does is really take up their time.
Right. And it's a lot of fun. The people come and they have snacks and you talk. And how often do people so two of the entities, there was a couple. So three of the people had been to class before and didn't brew, but came back again to start brewing.
Yeah. One guy had got a bunch of equipment of a friend of a friend or something had moved and had to kind of offload some equipment. So he had it, and he came to a class last fall or winter and did the class and had a good time and all that, and then was like, okay, I'm ready to brew now. I don't really remember, because brewing is kind of the thing that it's like muscle memory.
Yeah, the more you get better at it by doing it.
Yeah, and when you don't do it for a long time, I mean, even me, if I go a long stint without being able to brew, I'll get back and I have to kind of concentrate on okay, don't forget this, don't forget this, don't forget this. And that, I think some people just enjoy it, They kind of get some hands-on stuff in the class. I always get people to add hops and keep track of time for me while I'm, jabbering on this and that.
And most people who come to classes eventually end up at least brewing one batch on their own. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. The majority of my customers are, repeats. I don't have that many people who I only see once and never see again. Right. They always come back multiple times. Typically how it works out is they'll come in, do an extract kit, and half the people will be like, okay, I want to stick with kits, and that's what they do, or extract beers. And then some will do an extract kit or two and then be like, okay, I'm ready to do all grain. And then we have some folks who go to an extract class, go to an all grain class, and then just kind of jump right into all grain and go nuts with it, that's cool. I personally had to do a bunch of kits before I was comfortable doing all grain.
Right. And it's also, there's more at stake when you do the all grain. It's more expensive, and
the ingredients are much cheaper. It's actually about half to 2/3 the cost.
Oh, really? All grain, as opposed to...
Yep. It's just, I always ask people, what do you have more of, time or money? If you have money and no time, extract recipes are great because you can bang them out in 2.5, 3 hours. Whereas all grain, you know, you're sinking in 4 to 6 hours in a day.
Right.
But you save a good bit of money, you know, once you get your equipment, and a lot of the equipment you can just make at home, mash tun and whatnot. So it really comes into how deep in the hobby you want to get. I prefer to do all grain. I don't have a lot of time for it. So I end up doing more extract batches.
Right.
But for me, I like the full hands-on, you know, I get to pick and choose exactly what goes in to my beer.
Right.
Whereas extract, you can still make great beer. You just have a few less options.
And you can't tweak it the way
exactly.
If you have stuff, it's like one of those put together things. Like if you still have a little stuff left over at the end, you're going to be like, where does this bolt go?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you get it together with less bolts, it just means you're smarter than the engineer was. Well, I did it with less. That's my theory on working on cars. Right?
I see. Yeah.
Like, you didn't need that bolt anyway.
Probably.
It's overrated.
What I always say is they gave you extra. They gave you extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case one got lost. And so the other thing that I found interesting, I'm sorry, I wanted to go back. So you're getting married. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. We've been dating a short time, 13 years. So
do you guys think that you're going to be able to, are you guys going to like move into a bigger place where you'll have?
Oh, geez, I hope so. This apartment living sucks.
Yeah.
We're thinking about moving somewhere in Delaware, get out of Maryland. And I only had a few requirements for the marriage, like A, I don't wear a tux, and B, I get to prove the beer for the wedding.
Right.
And for a house, my only thing is I got to have a garage or a shed or
someplace you can
something that I can go outside and work.
But she loves beer. I don't know. I was under the impression that she brewed a little bit as well.
Nah, she helps me when I do brew,
right?
Or when I did brew at home. Now I typically just brew here,
right?
But yeah, she's a trooper. She definitely, doesn't mind helping. She always helped bottle, which was great because I despise bottling.
Now, can I ask why not keg?
I do keg.
Oh, all right.
I do keg now. But back in the day, before I got my kegging system, I don't put beer in bottles anymore. People always ask me if I brew, and I always have to admit that I don't. And I always said that if I did start brewing, I would almost certainly go directly to. I couldn't imagine. Oh yeah, well
I would rather spend the extra $300 or whatever to get a keg.
Oh yeah, to get the setup, it's a little bit less than that, like $250-ish, and gets you completely started.
But then I'd have to have a keg of beer around the house, and that wouldn't last.
First world problem. I really got I don't want to call it appreciation, a hatred for bottling 1 year prior to this big camping trip we typically go on. I bottled 15 gallons of beer at once, and it's 6 cases of beer, and I'm just like, ugh, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm never doing this again. And luckily for me, at the time I worked at Coca-Cola, and there was a lot of no longer inventoried pre-mix stuff, so I was able to more or less build my.
You got the sixtels or whatever? Or?
Oh, we had the corny kegs.
Yeah.
I got them for free. They were crushing them all, and I snatched a few, and they
great.
were like, cool, take them. And I got a regulator and the tank, and I got every fitting I need. The perks of the job.
Right. Yeah.
So getting into kegging was up to that point was cheap or free.
Yeah.
And then a kegerator more or less fell in my lap. The guy was like, dude, I'm clearing out this shed. I got one sitting back there. I don't know if it's good. I was like, how much you want for it? He's like, $20. I was like, here's 30.
Yeah.
I was like,
keep it changed.
Yeah, I'll definitely take it. And it works great. I don't really have anything on tap in my house right now, so it's a bottle fridge currently. But
again, you're looking after the big wedding.
Yeah. Cool thing is I can fit 3 kegs in there, so I have one on tap, and then just open the door and get the other ones.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely prefer kegging. Bottling is great for certain beers, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't want an imperial stout on tap,
right,
or something huge, a barley wine. So that's where bottles come in for me. But I'm the kind of person, if I go to a store and it's like 300 bottles or 10 beers on draft,
yeah,
I'm going for the 10.
Right.
Even if it's like the super rare ones, I always prefer draft.
Yeah. And so I'm sorry, that's going to segue us into our next topic. And if we can come back to hopefully we'll come back to the class at the end. But what if you could can your own beer? As you were saying that, I'm like, you know what? It's only a matter of time. Like if those things, I'm sorry, we're talking about Crowlers. And what Crowlers are they are 32-ounce cans that three of the local breweries have. We thought they were rare. We've said on the show before they were rare. But I was talking to one of the brewers, and he says he doesn't think they're very rare. Whether they're rare or not, there are 3 here. Like you can't drive a half an hour and not come across a brewery that has, because there's one on the ocean, one in the middle, and then one on the bay. Just pow, 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 like almost in a line. They're available at Burley Oak Brewery, Rubber Soul Brewery, and Real Ale Revival, RAR Brewing. And what's cool, Crowlers are 32-ounce cans. They fill them from the tap. They put a little CO2 on top. They put the top on the can. They put it in a machine. They turn it. It seals it right there. And they hand you your beer. You can have any beer that's on tap. You can get in a can. Yep.
So you have like the Foster's oil can of beer that's not Foster's.
Right. Of non-Foster's beer.
Yeah.
And there are all sorts of things that are cool about that. And we're going to get to that in a second. But if that were available, I would do that. I would get. I mean, it'd probably be expensive to get a bunch of cans, but I would can.
Yeah. I don't think you could replace bottling at home with it. I don't know if the can could take the pressure per se.
Wouldn't you do the same thing you do with kegs and put the CO2 on top?
Oh, you would. Well, I mean, if you were just gonna take it to go, you could take it right from your own tap. But like bottle conditioning, you actually put some sugar, it ferments and whatnot. And I don't think a can could hold it.
That's the question. Is there such a thing as keg conditioning? Is that what's going on in the keg, or the keg just doesn't explode because it's a keg?
It's a lot stronger, but typically when you keg a beer, you force carbonate it. You push CO2 into suspension and you shake it and it's cold. Whereas in a bottle, it's fermenting sugar in warm and it gets a really, really high pressure and it has nowhere to go but into the suspension. I don't think a can could take it. Actually, quick funny story. We were in the National Homebrew Conference in 2013, and a brewery had given out beers for free. It was like, get this big goodie bag, and the beer was infected, and it was in cans, and just throughout these years, just people all over the place. I mean, it was like 3,500 cans, and we put ours in the refrigerator first day, and by the end of the week, it was like a football. I was like, oh, geez. So we just popped them and dumped them.
Yeah.
Shame because it was a good beer, too, but... So, yeah, I don't think cans could quite take the pressure of carbonating. But for home use, to just take a Crowler to go, I would be kind of – it would be cool at a party.
Yeah, that would be awesome at a party. But I'm not understanding – there's something I don't understand about the fermenting process. Okay, you finish a beer.
Okay.
You put it in your keg, and that's it. All right, so you ferment it.
Okay. Ferment your beer. Right. It's done. You're ready to drink it. You get it very cold. You put it in a kegerator, you put it in a keg. You add CO2 to it at a higher pressure. You can either leave it at a certain pressure and over time it will dissolve, or you can rock the keg and it goes into suspension.
That's why the cans wouldn't work under either circumstance.
Right. Whereas in a bottle, you add a little extra sugar right when you bottle it. The yeast eats the sugar, produces CO2.
Right.
It has nowhere to go but in the liquid. But glass can hold a lot more pressure than aluminum can.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think if you were to try that in a can, it would.
Right. That's I didn't understand the difference because I knew that you added sugar to condition in the bottle.
Yes.
But I didn't understand what you would do in the keg. And the other part is that you keep it cold, so it's not going to ferment anymore.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. Now, some people do what's called, like you said, keg conditioning. They'll add their batch of priming sugar to a keg. Put the lid on, hit it with some CO2 just to seal the lid, leave it at room temperature. It'll build all that pressure up, carbonate itself. Then what you do is you vent all that pressure off and then put it on tap. That's a way to save on some CO2. But I personally prefer the forced carb.
Yeah, you may as well.
I want the instant gratification.
Yeah, that's a long time waiting. Now, does it take longer for a keg to ferment than it does for a bottle to ferment?
No. About the same amount of time.
2 weeks?
Yeah, typically, some people like to go like a full 30 days, which that's fine too. Yeah, but typically it's ready to drink in 15 days, give or take.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right, so now back to Crowlers. I just one of the reasons we wanted to talk about Crowlers today is because I wrote a blog about them, and I always like to plug my blogs on the show when I can, and you can find that at surecraftbeer.com, where you can also find this if you didn't find it there already.
Yes.
And as part of my research, I went out and I bought a Crowler, and I haven't had one before. I had to see how it was made, which was really cool. I already explained it, but I'll explain it again. First of all, you choose a beer, right? And that's the fun part, because like with the growler, what you do is you can get a tasting. You can get a flight of beers, from that flight you choose a beer that you like, and then oftentimes when you're on the road, you'll say, all right, I'll take a growler of that to go. I do this a lot when I'm traveling, or when I go to some place. Like a lot of times if I go to Burley, I'll get something in a growler because I would love to sit there and have 5 Rude Boys, but I can't, because I have to drive half an hour. And
yeah, exactly.
You can't have 5, 8% beers and
just stand properly.
But you can have one while you're waiting for them to fill your growler up.
Yeah.
But the problem with the growler, if it could be called a problem, is especially for beers like that, like you got to drink that all. You can't drink half a growler.
You can probably get a day,
maybe, if you're lucky.
That's pushing it.
So one of the things that I always used to like to do was I would just save it for cooking. So I'd get something that I can use in chili, or and I'll keep it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to use it, and that's fine. I mean, it'll stay good forever. It just won't stay carbonated forever. Or guys like this, they just, I'll put more CO2 in because that's what I have in my house. But what the Crowler does is it solves that problem. It's only 32 ounces, so that's
2 bottles.
2 bottles.
2 beers
2
plus
pints. It's 16 ounces or whatever. But you don't have to drink it right away. Like even when you buy a growler, you really should drink it. They say 5 days. That's kind.
Honestly, I have had a growler, and I made sure the lid was tight, and I also have a flip top growler, and I've had them in the fridge for 2-3 months. Open them up and they're fine. Really? Yeah.
Just got to be on tight, or
yeah, you got to make sure the lid's sealed. Now that being said, it obviously not the best practice.
Yeah, and why would you, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean I do it. It's one of those ones where it's like, oh, I don't want to drink it. I don't want to drink it. I don't want to drink it. It's so special. And finally, you're like, okay, I got to break into it. Then you got to drink the whole thing.
Then you have to drink the whole thing. And and if you're gonna have friends around, then that's cool. And if you've got room in your life to have 64 ounces of beer in an afternoon, then that's cool too.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
But one of the things that it's starting to appeal to me about, especially since I haven't been to Rubber Soul enough, so it wouldn't be true to say it was one of my favorite breweries. It was fine. Their beer was fine. I haven't developed a taste for it yet. But Burley and Raw really are 2 of my favorite beers. And the idea of being able to just collect, 2 pints of everything over the course of time, because that's the other thing that you can't get anyplace else, which is like if you want Burley in a can, you have to they've got 3 now that are out, right?
Yeah, Secret Sauce, Sorry Chickie, and something else. Yeah.
And lots of the breweries have bottles out, and those are cool to have, but you have to take what they're serving.
Right.
The other thing that I like about the Crowler is you can choose what they're going to can that day. Today you're canning 2 big pints of that beer. Yeah. And if it's a beer that they don't can, you can make them can it just for you, just for that day, which is just fun.
It is fun and awesome. It is a lot of fun. I think it's a really neat concept. I don't think it's going to step out the growler itself, just because I think a lot of people like to collect growlers from different places. Me, I can't tell you the last time I filled a growler of beer,
because that's what it is. It's like I want some,
but I don't want
all.
Yeah, and it's sad thing is I got like a $70 one of those dual linered aluminum ones. It's still got the card in it. When it came from it. I also have another one that's has my name engraved on it and a big, beautiful handle and stuff I got. And geez, I should really use these things. Yeah, they're just collecting dust in my apartment. But
and that's that's the other thing about the Crowlers is that you can keep it as long as you want. Right. You don't have to drink it in any particular time. And They won't ever replace growlers, but I think they will become more common.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it's before too long. It's going to be hard to find.
Well, not just that. It's also a really. It adds another element of fun at the brew pub.
Right.
You know, it's something you get to watch, and you know, it's kind of neat that they do it. Just like the growler film machine at Dogfish Head, that thing amazes me every time I see it. You ever seen it?
No, is it like
put a growler in a machine, it just purges it, cleans it, fills it with beer, purges it with CO2, pops the lid on, and out it comes.
Oh, that's fantastic!
I'm like, that's fascinatingly awesome.
Right? It's one of those things that you buy more just because you can.
I just want to watch them do it.
You
I'm
can
like,
watch
that's
them
just
do
neat.
it.
You know.
We talked about this on the show. I think it was you, but it could have been Doug. The beer bot, where you swipe your bracelet over it and it automatically.
Oh yeah, I think we did that. Well, that was a while ago.
It was an early show. There was a robot that they were making, a beer robot that could be used at stadiums where you would swipe your bracelet, or give it your driver's license. It would check your ID and then it would pour you a beer. And I thought that was, and the same thing, like what we said then, or what I said then, is it's one of those things where like I was just going to have one beer, but now I'll have three because I want to watch that happen.
Yeah.
3 times.
A neat one is there's a restaurant in the middle of the table. There's a tap. And it's basically like under the plastic, there's a keyboard, and you tell it what kind of beer, and it charges you, and it measures amount. So, you know, you can just keep serving yourself all night.
That's in Baltimore.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never been to the place. I just saw it in an article.
A friend of mine's sister-in-law, something like, it's great, but it's like a Baltimore or maybe a DC or Annapolis. It's that area restaurant. They have a tap counter on the and you can serve whatever you want. As you said, that's
what I'm talking about.
Again, all day, right? All day, and that's the best part. I don't want to take anything away from waitresses, but like, you have to have 3 beers to know how many beers you can have, because I always, when I'm getting to the bottom of beer, I'm like, I want her or him to notice that I'm going to need another beer.
Yeah.
Because there's like, if I finish a beer, I just start counting the seconds until
the next one's
coming, and I'm like, okay, see, and you don't want to be a jerk about it, right? And especially if it's busy. If it's busy, I will leave that last little sip. I'll die of thirst before I take that last little sip, because I want it in case I really am dying of thirst.
Yeah.
But so yes, there is the fascination factor, and the convenience factor. So that's something that I really think is going to be useful in the future. And just real quick, we didn't get to talk about this. We have 2 stories on the blog that we didn't get to talk about, but we're going to hit on one. In Texas, they just said you can't serve other people's beer in growlers. So
what?
Yeah, so like they don't have it in stores, for example. They don't have growlers in stores, and like if you were at a brew pub where they had a bunch of beers on tap, you can only if it wasn't brewed there, it can't be sold there in a growler. It can't be sold there to go in a growler.
That's weird.
It is weird.
Maryland's got a weird law. For the beer stores, you have to use their growler. Like
I'm so suspicious of that.
Apparently, it's only like an actual store, not like you can go into a brewery with any, and you can go into a restaurant that serves growlers, but at stores you can only use their growler. It has to have the Maryland little warning on it.
I'm very skeptical.
I am too, but someone actually showed the law to me, and I was kind of like, "What?" That's the stupidest law I've ever seen.
And I didn't say this, but I went to Cheers to get a growler filled up.
That's the one.
And that's the only one that I know of. The one here, it's in Delaware. There's one here in Delaware.
Yeah.
But they never have beer. They only have a sign that says we fill growlers.
What? Cheers?
No, there's one up here, Brownie's Liquor Store.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so I got there with a growler, and I was like, I'd like to get my growler filled up. They're like, oh, you got to buy one of ours, and I'm like, okay. Never mind, because I have to literally drive past Evo and Third Wave to get home. Like,
I'll get their beer.
Yeah,
and I bought one growler from them, and the only reason I did it was because they had On the Wings of Armageddon.
Something you wanted.
Yeah, and it was like, oh man, come on. You know, and it's not like they're expensive, but at the same time, I mean, I have, geez, man, I got 10 growlers at home.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The last thing I need is another growler.
Yeah, I mean,
which is another upside of the Crowler, because how many times? Yeah, well, yeah. How many times do you go out and you're like, you know what? I didn't bring, like, sometimes I won't. I try to keep a growler in my car, especially if I'm traveling, but sometimes I forget it. And there's nothing like saying, I would love to take a growler of this, but if I go home with one more growler, my wife is probably going to kill me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, I have 7 or 8 growlers. It's not like I have a lot.
I am up to my eyeballs in pint glasses, and we've been giving them away. Like, just like, oh, you need a glass? Whoop! Just, I mean, I went to pint night religiously for a year or so, and it's just like, okay, I really don't need any more pint glasses.
Right.
And the other night, I finally got an opportunity to get a 32-ounce thick-walled glass beer, like a beer mug, like kind of they have it, Positive to you.
Right.
I finally had a chance to get one. I'm like, got it. I don't care. I don't care if I have to put it in the middle of the floor. I have it, and I love that glass. It's so big and heavy. And
yeah. Was it the 32-ounce one?
Yeah, that's the big ones.
That's a nice glass to have.
Yeah, I've been trying to get them to let me take one for years, and they finally I got one. Oh, yes.
Very cool. There's more stuff to talk about, but there's no more time to talk about it because we got to go. Coming up on half an hour, and you know we don't like to take too much of your time unless we really have to. So, real quick, do we have classes? Or do you have classes coming up?
I got a wine class on Saturday. If you're interested in making wine, come on out. Also, if you're a homebrewer and you're watching this, sign up for the Good Beer Festival homebrew competition. See what see how you stand compared to everybody else. Get a chance of winning, and there's some pretty good prizes.
Is that the one that's with Third Wave, or is that a different one?
No, Third Wave one's over. Congratulations to Todd Lester, who got first place in that one with his smoked IPA.
Oh, that's so cool.
And
they're going to make that?
Yep. He's tweaking the recipe now.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I know. There were this one's at the Good Beer Fest at Pemberton in Salisbury. You don't have to be there to win, but we have quite a few entries left, and we'd like to get them all filled up.
Very cool. If you're in Seaford or the greater Seaford area, I'll be speaking at the Seaford Library about the history of beer on September 17th if you want to come on by. And also mark it on your calendars. We'll be talking about it more, but there's Ocean City OC Oktoberfest is, I believe, official. I was invited. Actually, I wasn't invited because I work for the company that's putting on, so I was told to come. Make yourself available. SureCraftBeer.com is one of the people that's putting on. The town of Ocean City is another one. But I'll be speaking there, but there'll be lots of cool stuff, and that is October 24th. And if you're looking for a place to get your growler filled, one of the things that they're going to be doing there is they're going to be allowing for filling growlers.
Okay.
And you can take them home. You got to tie them off and take them home.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you have a brewery, that you can sell beer, you can sell your bottles.
Oh, cool.
If you have to have a distribution. You have to have a license.
Yeah.
If you're a brewer, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're not, it doesn't matter. But many of your favorite breweries from the area will be there, and those that sell things in cans or bottles will be selling things in cans or bottles. Everybody will have growlers available for sale. And there'll be an entrance. The entrance fee isn't expensive, and it's one of those things where you can get a couple tasting. But if you want to, you're going to have to. It's no Good Beer Festival by any stretch of the imagination, which is the best beer festival, easily the best beer festival in the region. I've been to several. The bottomless glass portion of it is the best part. You can try all the beers. They're just a little bit. You can try them. That is my birthday weekend. So it's October 11th and 12th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's the weekend closest to October 10th. It always is. I always appreciate that fact. But we're going to call it a week for that week. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.